She ripped off the ring and threw it on the table. "I can't marry a black man. What will people say?" Gasps filled the room, but she only smirked, convinced she was trading up. He stood there humiliated, treated like he was less than human, while she chased wealth and status. What she didn't know was that in just minutes, her cruel rejection would lead him to someone far beyond her reach. Tell us in comments, what would you do if it happened to you? Before we begin, hit subscribe. It's appreciated. It was supposed to be the happiest day of his life. Michael had always believed in love, not in color, not in wealth, but in the connection between two hearts. Born into a modest family, he had worked tirelessly to build a life of stability and dignity. Long hours, endless sacrifices, every step shaped by his belief that one day, love would reward him. He thought he had found it in Sophia, a woman who dazzled everyone with her beauty, charm, and promises of forever. To Michael, their love story was proof that the world was changing. He had faced prejudice before, whispers about his skin, stares when he walked into certain rooms, but with her, he thought those barriers had crumbled. He imagined building a future together, one where their differences only made them stronger. The wedding was planned in a lavish hall, every detail chosen to reflect her taste. Friends and family gathered, the music played softly, and the scent of roses filled the air. For Michael, it was more than just a ceremony. It was the start of a life he had dreamed of. But beneath the surface, tension rippled quietly. Sophia's friends had hinted at her doubts, her obsession with wealth, her fixation on appearances. Michael had brushed it aside, trusting love to rise above judgment. As the ceremony began, the room sparkled with anticipation. Michael stood at the altar, his heart pounding with joy and nerves ready to promise forever. But in that very hall, where love was supposed to triumph, the ugliest side of prejudice was about to shatter his world. What would you do if, at the very moment you thought life was giving you everything, it suddenly took it all away? The music swelled, the guests leaned forward, and Michael's eyes searched the aisle. For a moment, everything looked perfect. Sophia gliding in her gown, a vision of beauty. His chest tightened with pride, believing this was the start of forever. But as she reached the altar, her expression shifted. Her smile faded, her grip on the bouquet trembled, and then she looked him dead in the eye and stepped back. The whispers began instantly, confusion rippling through the crowd. Sophia raised her voice, sharp and cold, slicing through the silence. She announced she couldn't go through with it. She couldn't marry him. Her words dripped with venom as she spat out what she had hidden all along. She couldn't bring herself to marry a black man. The room froze. Some gasped, some stared at the floor, but no one moved. Michael stood there, his heart crashing, his dignity crushed in front of everyone he loved. He wanted to believe it was just nerves, some misunderstanding, but her next words buried that hope. She didn't just walk away, she mocked him, said she deserved better, that he wasn't enough, that she wanted a man who could give her the life she dreamed of, not one who carried the stain of his skin. Every sentence was a knife. Michael stood motionless, his ring still in his hand, his vows left unspoken. The crowd began to murmur, some defending him, others avoiding his eyes. His mother's hands shook in her lap. His father clenched his jaw, silent fury burning through him. But Michael stayed still, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing him break. What Sophia didn't know was that this moment, this public humiliation meant to destroy him, would become the turning point of his life. Her cruelty would push him into a path far greater than she could ever imagine. Days turned into weeks. Michael focused on his work, burying himself in ambition instead of heartbreak. Each insult replayed in his mind, fueling him. He began to rise, not just financially, but socially. Opportunities opened, doors he never thought possible. His kindness, his intelligence, his determination drew the attention of people far beyond Sophia's shallow world. One evening, at a charity gala he attended reluctantly, everything changed. The crowd sparkled with royalty, politicians, and leaders from across the world. And that's when he met her, the princess. Graceful, radiant, and unlike anyone he had ever known. She didn't see his color as a burden. She saw it as part of his strength, his identity, his story. Their connection was instant, undeniable, and pure. But fate wasn't done with him yet. Word spread fast, and when Sophia learned who he was now seen with, jealousy consumed her. She began circling back into his life, trying to charm him again, pretending the past had never happened. But her motives were clear. She wanted the status he now carried, the power she had once mocked him for not having. The stage was set for the ultimate reversal. The same woman who had humiliated him before the world was now desperate to stand beside him. But Michael had already outgrown the shallow world she lived in. He had something she could never give: respect, dignity, and love that didn't come with conditions. The night was glittering with chandeliers, the ballroom filled with the world's elite. Michael stood tall, dressed in a sharp tuxedo, the princess by his side, her hand resting gently on his arm. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered his name, and the very same society that once ignored him now celebrated him. But in the middle of that golden evening, a shadow from his past slipped into the room. Sophia. Her eyes locked on him with a hunger she could no longer hide. She pushed through the crowd, her dress shimmering, her smile desperate. She greeted him as though nothing had ever happened, as if she hadn't shattered him at the altar. She called him the one that got away, pretending she had been blinded by youth. But her eyes gave her away, eyes that burned with envy at the sight of the princess on his arm. Michael listened in silence, his face unreadable. Inside, memories of her words came rushing back, the insults, the rejection, the humiliation. And now here she was, trying to seduce him with sweet lies and false regret. The princess watched calmly, her composure regal, but her grip on Michael's arm tightened ever so slightly. She could see Sophia's intentions, dripping from every forced laugh and fluttering glance. Then came the moment. Sophia leaned closer, her voice low but sharp. "You and I, we were meant to be. Don't you see? We could have had it all." The ballroom seemed to hush, the tension thick. Michael's heart pounded, not with love, not with temptation, but with the weight of justice. This was the same woman who had declared him unworthy because of his skin. And now she was begging for the very life she once mocked. Viewers, what do you think he should do in this moment? Should he humiliate her like she humiliated him, or should he rise above her cruelty? Tell us in the comments, because in the next moment, Michael made a choice that would leave the entire room stunned. Michael looked at Sophia, her eyes wide with fake innocence, her words dripping with desperation. The crowd leaned in, sensing the tension, waiting for his response. He didn't shout. He didn't mock. He simply smiled, then turned to the princess and said words that silenced the entire ballroom. "I already have everything I need." The princess squeezed his hand, her expression radiant, and together they walked past Sophia, leaving her frozen in humiliation, the same way she had once left him. But this time the world was watching, and no one applauded her cruelty. Instead, all eyes admired the dignity of the man who had risen above hate, and the woman who stood proudly by his side. For Michael, the pain of that rejection had transformed into the most powerful triumph of his life. He hadn't just proven Sophia wrong, he had proven something greater. That worth is never measured by skin color, nor by wealth, nor by shallow approval. His dignity, his perseverance, and his character had brought him true love and respect, the kind Sophia could never buy. And yet, his story is not just about a wedding that never happened. It's about the countless moments where people are judged, dismissed, or humiliated because of the color of their skin. Michael's victory may feel like sweet justice, but the question remains, how many others never get the chance to rise above? Have you ever been underestimated by someone who didn't see your true value? Tell us in the comments. We want to hear your story. Show some love with a like and subscribe to stay inspired.